Novembris ir tāds īpašs mēnesis.
November is special month for our country,
Es ļoti ceru, ka arī
and I really
mums
hope
visiem.
that it's important for all of us.
Es esmu uzaudzis
I have grown up
padomju
in Soviet time,
Un padomju laikā jūs jau zinat, kā
and Soviet time you know what kind of celebration it was.
Leņina
It was
tauta, kas
Lenin
bija, un tad bija Oktobra
Day and then
Socialistiskās
October
Republikas,
Social
gada
Republic
dienas visādas,
celebration,
un tad bija komunismu
and then there was
uzvaras, un
communism
5
celebration,
vienā
5
gadā
years in 1 year,
sasniegumi bija tādi,
all the
svētku
achievements.
bija ļoti daudz.
So we had all kinds
Bet
of
kaut kā no
celebrations.
bērnības man vecāki
But since
man
my
tā
childhood,
iemācīja, ka tie
my
ir viņu
parents,
svētki.
they told me that it's their
Mūsu
celebration.
svētki ir
Our
citu svētki.
celebration are
Mūsu
different
svētki
celebration.
bija Kristus augšām celšanās
Our celebration
svētki.
was Christ's
Mūsu
resurrection.
svētki bija
Our
Kristus
celebration was
piedzimšanas svētki.
Christ's
Un tad mūsu svētki bija
celebration, and then our celebration was also
Un tad
celebration
kaut
of
kur tā
Latvia.
ļoti slepeni mēs
And then
paskatījāmies, kas
secretly
bija
we were
Latvijas
looking
karogs.
what is
Sarkanbalts, sarkanbalts.
the Latvian flag like, that it
Toreiz
was
man likās,
red, white,
ka
and
tas ir
red. And then I
vienreizēji
thought
skaists.
that it's so
Kas
beautiful.
var būt skaists?
What could be more
Jūs
beautiful?
atceraties, kāds bija
Do you
padomu
remember
Latvijas
where
karogs?
was Soviet time
vēl
Latvian
atcerās?
flag? Who remembers
Cilvēki,
that?
kas nav redzējuši to
There are people who haven't seen it.
Tas tā kā vienotru jaunieši
It's
tu
like
vari
some
pārsteigt, ja tu
young
runā
people,
krievu
you could
valodā, viņiem tā gandrīz
surprise
jau
them
liekas,
if you
kā
speak
French
Russian,
valoda.
because for them it sounds like French.
Jā,
Yes,
mūsu paudzes cilvēki ir ļoti izglītoti.
people of our generation, they're really educated. But Latvian Soviet time flag, there was, it was red and there was different kind of Russian symbols. But when I saw Latvian flag, then I thought, will there be such times that we could boldly put the flag of Latvia and we can put it next to our house, and that on the celebration of our country, then we could have the flag. And then my father, he told me that Latvian government people in there were all Latvians. And of course, then also we had Latvians. Like Pugo, he was Latvian. At least they had such Latvian surnames. But we thought that they are not close to us. But now we live in this reality. And you know that sometimes when I look at this flag, red, white, red, and then I think to myself that it's like, it's simple, just two colors. And then it's good that in November that we can remind ourselves and that we can celebrate what is important for us. Remember, we celebrate what is important. And if sometimes those were their celebrations, then you know that now it's my celebration. November, sometimes when we were speaking to each other, we thought that could be nice if we would have our celebration in June, because then for militaries that would be nicer to walk, and it would be also nice for us to go and watch and listen. But usually it's windy and it's cold and it might rain. So it's why in Latvia, why are we so not lucky? And one of the things is that it's in November. And November, it's actually, it's a huge Latvian success and blessing. And that was in 1918, in November, when Latvia was proclaimed and it was declared as free, and that was for the first time in the history of Latvian nation. So it's 100 years ago, for the first time, Latvian nation in their history, they had opportunity to have their own country, to declare that it's their country. And that was proclaimed, as we know that it was in National Theatre. There was a meeting where
valstsvīri,
different
kuriem
kind
vēl
of
nebija
people from
savas
government, they came, they didn't have their
pasludināja
country,
valsts.
but they proclaimed the country.
Mums liktos, ka vajadzēja
And
visai
for us that
pasaulē
would
nodarbēt un
look
visiem
like
aplaudēt un
everyone
visiem
should,
būt sajūsmā,
like the
ka
earth
Vilnis
should shake
tāda
and everyone
valsts,
should
Latvija.
applaud because now
Bet nekas tam
Latvia was
līdzīgs
born. But nothing similar to
Vēl
this
divi
happened
smagi gadi,
because two
divus
heavy, difficult
smagus
years were,
gadus. Tie bija
and those were
vissarežģītākie
the
gadi
most
Latvijas
difficult years
vēsturē.
in Latvian history.
Latvijai vajadzēja cīnīties
Latvia
un
needed to
pierādīt,
fight and to
ka tāda
prove
valsts
that
ir
such
un
country
ka
is
tā var eksistēt,
and that
ka tai
it can
tiesības uz
exist, that it
eksistenci.
has rights to exist.
18. gada
In
18.
1918,
novembrī
on
Latvijā
18th
bija
of November,
milzīgs vācu karaspēks.
there was German
Bija milzīgs
army.
tektoniskas kustības, ja tā var izteikties.
There were
kad
such
milzīgs
tectonic
lieli tādi slāņi
directions
kustās un nezinu vēl, kas
because
notiks.
different
Jau
kind of
gadu
armies
Krievijā
were
bija
coming, and
pilsoņu
in
karš,
Russia there
kur
was
mēs pazīstam kā
citizen
bolševiku vai
war.
lielnieku
We know
sacelšanās,
that as
un rietumu sabiedrotie
that
gribēja
kind of war,
apstādināt
and
šo
West
te-
society,
šo te
Western part of the world, they wanted to stop
dumpi,
this
gribēja palīdzēt Krievijai
rebellion
apstādināt
of
to
Bolshevik,
tur, un tāpēc
and they
šī
wanted
vācu
to stop
armija,
Russians. That's why
līdz pat
this German
50,000
army
vīri
was
tiek uzskatīts, bija
50,000 people.
bruņoti, labi
They were
bruņoti,
in the army,
labi
they were well
apmaksāti, labi
equipped and well
apgādāti.
paid and
Vācu
well
karavīri bija
supported
Rīgā,
militaries,
liela
and
daļa
they
no
were in
vadības bija
Riga.
Rīgā.
A lot of
Bija
people from the
Latvijā.
army were in
Un te
Latvia,
bija
in
stāvēja
Riga,
Angļu
and they were
kara kuģis,
standing,
te bija citu valstu,
and there was also a ship
kara
from
kuģi.
England
tāds-
and different
tāds
kind of
ļoti
army
sarežģīts
ships,
laiks.
and that was a
Kā mēs
difficult
zinām,
time,
Latvija
as we
pirms
know
tam bija
that
Krievijas
before
sastāvā,
Latvia
un tagad
was
Krievijā tur ir
in
liels
with
pārmaiņas, un
Russians,
šeit bija liela neziņa par
and
to,
now
kas
there were
notiks, kā
some
būs,
changes,
kas
and
notiks
no
ar
one
mazo
knew what will happen
zemi.
with this little country, with Latvia.
Un tā bija neliela saujiņa, mēs tiešām
And that
varam
was
teikt,
just
ka
like
neliela
a little-
saujiņa cilvēku,
Little
kas
part of
ticēja,
people who
kam nebija
believed,
pierādījumu,
who didn't
nebija
have any proofs,
stingrs, spēcīgs aizmugurs.
they didn't have
Neliela
strong
saujiņa
back,
cilvēku,
but
kas
just
ticēja,
some
ka šis
people
ir
who
mūsu
believed
laiks,
that this is
ka šis
our
ir
time,
Dieva dota,
that it's
šī ir
God's
Dieva
given
dota iespēja
opportunity
mums pašiem
for
nodibināt
ourselves
savu
to declare our own country.
Un viņi to uzsāka.
And they started
Viņi
it.
to uzsāka par
They started
spīti
it.
ļoti nelabvēlīgai politiskai
Didn't matter
militārai.
what kind of situation was in
situācijai.
politics.
Pulkvedis Bermans.
And
Kad viņam
Bermond,
pateica, ka Latvija ir pasludinājusi savu neatkarību, ka
when they
Latvijai ir
told
kaut
him
kāda
that Latvia
savu
has
pagaidu
proclaimed
valdība,
its
viņš
independence,
teica, ka
then he
tādas
said
valdības te
that
nav.
there is no
Viņš
such
ir-
government, that
viņš
he
ir
is
īstais varas
the one
pārstāvs
who is
Latvijā.
who is
Viņš
the
teica, man
one who is reigning.
seko manā
And he said that
padotībai
people are
50
following me.
tūkstošu
It's
bruņotu
50,000 equipped
Es esmu
men.
nedalāms Krievijas varas
I'm
pārstāvs
Russian
šeit Latvijā.
government person
Un-
who is responsible
Jūs
for
zināt,
it.
šī ideja viņa
And you know that this
izplatījās,
idea,
šī ticība par to, ka
This
mums var būt
belief
sava
that we can
valsts,
have our
viņa
country,
izplatījās diezgan ātri.
it
Un
spread
19.
really
gada
fast.
vidū,
And
tas
in
tā kā
the
nepilnu
middle
gadu
of
vēlāk,
19
jau bija
year, it was like the year
50,000 tā
after,
pa visu Latviju
it was
varēja saskaitīt
50,000 people, you
50,000
could
vīru,
count them. Latvia was
kas
50,000
bija
men
apliecinājuši, ka grib iesaistīties un
who said
piederēt
yes, that
Latvijas
they want to
armijai.
be part of
50,000.
Latvian army. It was 50,000 men. That was in 1919.
Tā kauja,
That was in the middle of
tās
19, as we
karadarbības,
know
ko
that
mēs
battle.
atzīmējam,
Remember those
11.
battles that
novembrī,
we
viņas
celebrate
bija,
on 11th of
19.
November.
gada beigās.
It was at the end of
Bet
year 19,
50,000 vīru,
but 50,000
bet
men.
reāli
But
uz
actually,
novembra mēnesi
in
bija apmēram
November,
30 līdz 40
there were 30
tūkstoši
to 40
gatavu vīru, kas bija
who were ready.
40% no
So
visiem šiem
30,
50,000.
40% of those
Tātad pat
50,000
nebija 25, kas bija
people,
gatavi
so it's not
reāli
even
iesaistīties
25
kara
who were
darbībā.
ready to take part
Un jau uz
in the
papīra
battlefield.
izskatījās 50,000
Where on the
karavīru, tad
paper
reāli
you saw that you have
šautenes mums
50,000
bija tikai
people,
21,620
then we had only 21,000
šautenes.
guns.
Tātad nemaz katram otrajam
So
nebija ieroči,
even
ar ko
not
iet
every
un doties
second had
kaujā.
a gun in their hands that they could go in a battle. We were in such kind of circumstances. And then in September, England sent uniforms that were used and also guns. And 2 months before the battles in Riga, they got all their guns. And today we could say, and clothes from second hand. Maybe we could think that you can't go and fight in such kind of uniform because somebody already had it on them and now they had it on. They had to wear it. But then we were not with such high standards. Latvian men, they were wearing this second-hand clothing, and 2 months before this battle, they got their guns so that they could go and fight. Is it possible during 2 months to learn everything how you should act in the army, in the battle? But they did it. And Bermond, he was really good in speaking in front of people, and he was a really charming person. And Germans, they proclaimed about the pressure from others, and they said that their army can go back. Everyone who wanted, they could go back. But German army, they didn't want to go back. They were promised that after this battle, they will have their land in Latvia. And I can imagine those German men who were marching there, and when they saw nice hill and then a river over there, and they could think that this will be mine. I want this meadow for as my land. And some of them went further and they said, oh, there will be something nicer, bigger land and nicer meadows. So only volunteers stayed in Latvia, and it's those who were paid. And German army, they were paid 15 marks every day. And now when you look at that amount of money, it's not big, but then in those times that was quite big. And if you were in a higher position, you were paid more. And actually he said that he is this Bermond. He called himself that he is this important person. And he was really good in speaking. And he was hunting women. He was a bright person. He needed to shine, to be in front of people. With all his outlook, he needed to reach his result, and he did it perfectly. And maybe Latvians thought how lucky they are to have such officer Bermond. And you know what? Historians are saying that in military strategy he couldn't do anything. And sometimes we think that our enemies are so strong, they are so strong. But actually, you know, if God is on your side, then there might be such minus, and you can't even evaluate it. And if we don't look at that, even that officer Berman, that his army, in the amount, it was bigger, their army was not a lot bigger, but they had really good military equipment. They had a lot of, and I can think how this officer Berman was feeling, and if I remember right, that Germans was 67 millions that he was paid to have this his army. For example, he had his room, and then he had this all money in his room. Maybe he thought that this little Latvia, he will not speak about it. He wants all Russia. And actually those Russians who were in Germany, they were allowed to be in this permanent project, and they were promised to get land in Russia. So Russian men, they went to Russia, and that was their last thought, to go and fight for Russia, just to get the land in Russia, and German guys, they wanted to have land in Latvia, and all of them were paid and they were getting money. And you know what was the leftover after the army? Germans lost 5,000 men of their army. How much do you think Latvian army lost their people? How many? So the military strategy from Vermont. So we suppose that Latvians should be less, and actually only 2,000 Latvian militaries, they died. And maybe those are battles for Riga. Maybe someone also felt after. And what do I think about it? Because in 1940, Latvia lost its independence in a really peaceful way. And of course, I'm not historian and I don't know all those nuances and why it happened the way it happened. But when I think, then probably Latvian government, they didn't want to lose Latvian people. They thought that we will fight with such amount of army and our people will die, and it's not worth it. But if the fight with the Vermont, with Officer Vermont, if the cost of it was 2,000 Latvian people, 2,000 lives, then if we just give up peacefully, that we want to save lives of our people, those are 15,000 people who were sent or who were killed, or in a different way how they were destroyed. Then Russian people, they occupied Latvia afterwards. And then I think that this valuable gift, this freedom, the cheapest way the cheapest way would be to protect it. And one of the countries was really important that was protecting Latvia, and that was England. England's ship was there in Daugava River, and it was watching what was happening. And maybe you don't know, but I have been telling about this, that usually we have one Englishman, and his name is Harry, and he's sitting there as he's sitting there now on the second row. And for some time Harry was telling to me that I would say to those institutions about who are protecting Latvia, and if they need volunteers to go and protect boundaries of Latvia and the independence of Latvia and freedom, that I would like to tell them where you can find me. That's that man on the second row who is sitting there with headphones. And I think to myself, maybe he doesn't understand something in the translation, or I don't understand something in the translation, but I tell him, but you are an Englishman, you are from England. What do you have to protect here in this little land? But he told me that God called me to come to Latvia, and that means to also protect this country, also physically, if it's needed.
Ja 18. gada 18.
If
novembrī
on 18th of
Latvija
November
tika
in
pasludināta,
1918 Latvia was proclaimed,
tā ir
declared,
tā kā tāda ticības
then it's like
apliecība, kurai vēl nav īsti
proclamation
pamatu, nav
in
īsti
faith where
argumenti,
there
ka
is
tā
no
patiešām
foundation or
ir
arguments
piepildījies.
that you could say that it has really
Turpmākos
happened.
2 gadus
Then after
es
2
nosauktu
years,
tos par
or in the
ticības
next 2 years, these
darbu
next 2 years, I would say
gadiem.
that it's the
Atcerieties,
those are
Jākabs
years
saka,
of
ka
faith.
ticība bez
And remember
darbiem
that
ir
James said that faith without
nedzīva.
deeds is
Viņš saka, līdzīgi kā
is dead.
miesa bez
And he
gāra
says
ir nedzīva, tieši tāpat
like
nedzīva
body
ir
with
ticība
like flesh
bez
without
darbiem.
spirit is dead. It's the same
Ja
about
viss būtu
faith.
beidzies
Faith
ar
without
to, ka
deeds is
mūsu
dead.
šie
And if
ticības un
everything
pārliecības pilnie
would
vīri
stop
pasludināja Latviju,
when they proclaim that
turpmāk
Latvia
mēs
is
būtu
free,
vienkārši
and then they
gaidījuši,
would
lai
just
lietas
stop and
pašas
they would just think,
nokrīt, realizējas,
they
lai
would just wait for things
sakārtojas,
just to
lai šī
happen,
brīvība mums
that
tiek
everything
piešķirta,
would
mums tā
just
būtu
happen by
palikusi arī
itself.
tikai uz papīra.
Then that would
Divus
just
gadus
stay like that,
latvieši
like it was on the
vīri
paper. But for the
ticēdami
next
tam, ka
2
Latvijai
years,
ir
Latvian men
tiesības
believe
uz
that
eksistenci,
Latvia has
ka
rights
tās
to
patiešām
exist,
ir Dieva griba,
that it's really
viņi
God's
cīnījās
will.
par to.
They
Un es to
they
saucu
fought
par
for it,
ticības
and
darbu.
I call it
Un vai jūs
years
zināt,
of faith, deeds
ka
of faith.
ebreju
And do you
vēstulītes
know that
11.
in
nodaļa,
Hebrews
kur
11,
uzskata, ka tā ir ticības varoņu
where they
slavas
think that
zāle.
that's the
Ebreju
the
vēstulītes
chapter
11. nodaļa
of
ir
faith,
ticības varoņu slavas zāle.
it's
Ir
the hall
basketbola
of
slavas
faith
zāle,
of
hokeja
praise.
slavas zāle,
You
ir,
can praise hockey
snorkelētāju
or
slavas zāle, un tā tālāk.
and you can have
Latvija
different
ir
kind of
pieminēta.
halls of praise, but
Latvijas sasniegums ir pieminēts
Latvia's
arī šajā
achievement is
ebreju
also
vēstulītes
mentioned in this
11.
Hebrew
nodaļā, ticības
chapter
varoņu
11
slavas zāle.
about the
Un es jums
hall
izlasīšu,
of
kā
faith,
tur par mums
where
ir
faith is
uzrakstīts.
celebrated.
Paklausieties.
And let's listen how it's written there
Un ko
about
vēl
us.
lai saku?
And what else
Man pietrūktu
shall I
laika
say?
stāstīt par Gideonu, Baraku, Samsonu, Jeftu, Dāvidu, Samuelu
I don't
un
have time to
praviešiem,
tell about
kas
Gideon
ar
and
ticību
prophets
valstis uzvarējuši,
who fought for
taisnus
countries
darbus
and who did
darījuši,
good deeds,
apsolījumus saņēmuši,
that received promises,
rīklis aizbāzuši, uguns spēku nodzēsuši, zobenu asmenim izbēguši, pārvarējuši nespēku, karā stipri kļuvuši,
they were strong
un
in the battle,
svešus karapulkus
and foreign
piespieduši bēgt.
militaries they have told them to flee.
Tie ticībā. To var
They,
izdarīt
by
cilvēki
faith,
tikai tie, kas patiešām
Only
tic.
those who believe they can
Svešus
do it.
karapulkus piespieduši bēgt.
They told
Jūs zināt,
militaries
viens
to
no
flee.
Krievijas vēsturniekiem, mēs
You know,
momentā
one of
aizmirstam
Russian
viņu
historians,
uzvārdu,
I forgot his
uzskata,
surname, he
ka
thinks that
Latvijas
Latvia,
faktors vai
the
šie
factor of
notikumi, kas
Latvia
notika
or
Rīgā
those events
un
that happened in
Latvijā
Riga,
ietekmē visu Krievijas
that
likteni.
they
Jo
influenced
šī
all
Bermudu
the
karaspēks tā arī
destiny of
nespēja
Russia.
atgūties no tās
Because
sakāves, no tiem
the army
notikumiem,
of Burmans,
kurus izciet šeit Rīgā.
after
Un
those
kad viņi
events that they
aizgāja
had in
vēlāk
Riga,
līdz Krievijai,
and when they
viņi
went
vairs
back to Russia,
nevarēja karot.
they couldn't
Viņi
fight
nespēja vairs
anymore.
karot tā, kā bija
They couldn't
aicināti
fight
to
like they
darīt.
were called to fight
kā
before that.
Tā mūsu latviešu sakām vārds par
So
mazu
that
cinīti,
quote
kurš
about
spēja
the little
nogāzt lielu vezumu,
little man who
burtiski
can
piepildījās
fight big,
Latvijas
that
tapšanas
really
laikā,
happened
Latvijas
during
proklamēšanas un vēlāk
that time
tās
when Latvia was
aizstāvības laikā.
proclaimed and when they were protecting
Bet
it.
ir kādi cilvēki noteikti arī toreiz bija, un starp
But
citu,
also
starp tiem tiek
then they
minēts arī
had
kāds
men-
viens Andrievs Niedra,
And there
kurš
was
tiek,
this man, Andriev Nieva,
vienmēr piesauks, ka tas ir mācītājs.
and he was a pastor.
Nav nekas teikt
They
par
always
visiem
speak
citiem
about
kādu
him.
profesiju pārstāvji
They don't
tie
speak
bija,
about
bet
any other professions,
mācītājs
but that
Andrievs Niedra,
pastor,
viņš tas,
Andriev
kurš bija
Nieva,
gatavs,
he was the one who was
atteikties no
ready
Latvijas neatkarības un veidot Vācijai labvēlīgu vai Vācijai interesantu valdību.
and he wasn't ready to build
Ir vienmēr
government
bijuši
that
tādi
would be
cilvēki, kas
interesting
uzskatījuši,
for
tik
Germany.
maza tauta
But there have
nevar-
been people who
nevar
have been thinking
pastāvēt
about
vien,
Latvia that
nespēs
such little
pastāvēt
nation
vien.
can
Nu,
just stand
nu,
for itself.
droši vien, kad jūs visi jau zinat,
And maybe a
un neko
lot of
jaunu es
you
nepateikšu,
know, and I
es
will
vienkārši
not
tā
tell
pats
something
interesi
new.
pēc atgādināju
But
sev,
for
jo
myself,
nezināju.
I was
Mēs
reminding
tikko klausījāmies par
We
Kataloniem,
were
kas grib
listening
iegūt
about
neatkarību.
Catalonians
tajā
in Spain who
demokrātiskajā
want to
pasaulē.
get
Un es pie sevis
their
domāju, nu, cik to
independence
katalāņu
in this
īsti
world.
ir?
And then I think, how many Catalonians
Ja
are
mūsu,
there?
mēs esam liela tauta,
Because
mēs esam
we are a
gandrīz
big
vairāk kā
nation,
miljons,
we
vai
are
ne? Un
over
savos
than
ziedu
1
laikos
million.
bijām virs 2
And
miljoniem.
when it was
Cik ir
really
to
good in Latvia, then we
mazo
were
katalāņu, kas
above
grib tur
2
no
million.
Spānijas
But how
iegūt
many
neatkarību? Cik
Catalonians
viņi ir
are there?
īsti? 10,000, 20,000,
10,000 or 20,000, 30,000?
50,000.
If there are 50,000, then that's serious.
Katalāņi 7,4 miljoni.
But they are 7.4 million.
Viņi cīnās par savu
They are
neatkarību.
fighting for their
Viņiem to
independence,
neizdodas iegūt.
and they can't get it.
Vai jūs zināt, ka Etiopija,
Do you know
kur
that in
pasaulē
Ethiopia,
ir bēgļi parasti,
when
kā pirmie bēgļi tiek minēti Etiopija.
there are
Liela
there are
tauta, viņi taču varētu
refugees,
sakārtot savu zemi.
and that's a big
Viņi
nation,
105
and they could
miljoni.
have their order, but it's
Ziemeļkorejā dzīvo
a lot of
25
millions there. But
miljoni
in
cilvēku.
North Korea,
Afganistānā, nu, kur mēs kā
there are
visi
also
zinām, kur
millions,
ir,
and
nu,
in
pilsoņu
Afghanistan,
karš,
where we
un
know
tur
there's
karo,
citizen
karo,
war,
karo, bezgalīgi
and
karo.
they are fighting and
Tur
fighting.
tā ir liela tauta,
That's a big
35
nation,
miljoni.
35 million.
Nu, Sīrijā.
Or in
Arī mēs
Syria,
zinām,
we
sena
also know
kultūra.
it's an
Mēs vēl
old
vecajā derībā
culture.
lasām
Even
par
in the
sīrieti
Old Testament, we
Naimanu,
can
kurš
read
bija
about
izcils
Syrian
karvadons, kurš spēja iekarot svešas
who
tālas
was
zemes, bagāta,
ready to
liela
fight
tauta.
and to
Cik
get a
sīrieši
lot
ir
of lands.
šodien,
And
kuru,
how
kā
many
mēs
Syrians
visi
do we have
zinām,
now? As we know
no Sīrijas pamatā visi bēg
that
prom.
everyone is
Tā
fleeing
ir
from
liela
Syria,
tauta ar 18
and they have
miljoniem
18 million
cilvēku.
people.
Tad ne mūsu skaitliskums,
So
ne
not the
mūsu senās
amount,
tautas dziesmas
not
nosaka
the
to,
songs of our
ka mēs
nation
dzīvojam savā valstī
speak
un
that we are
dzīvojam
living in
šajā
our
vietā, kurā
land,
esam.
in this place
Tas
where
ir
we are.
Dieva brīnums.
It's God's miracle.
Jūs zināt, nu dien, tas ir Dieva
That is
brīnums,
God's miracle.
ka tajā 18.
That
gadā
in
mēs
that
tikām pie savas valsts
year
un
18,
2 gadus
we received
smagās
our
cīņās
nation, and
pierādījām,
in
ka
2
spējam
years of
savu tautu,
serious battle,
savu valstu
we
uzturēt,
proved that
un ka
we
tauta
can
spēj dzīvot
stand for
pats savā
our
zemē.
nation, and that our
Bet kāds
nation
teiks,
can
jā,
live
bet
in this
tikko
land.
pie pirmās iespējas mēs
And
arī
maybe somebody will say that
pazaudējām to
that
savu
we also
neatkarību
lost
40.
our
gadā.
nation in
Man
the
nāk
year
prātā
40.
kāds stāsts, kur noteikti jūs arī visi
And I
zināt,
think about one
kā
story that
cilvēks
a lot
nokrīt
of
no,
you might know, that there
no
was one man
augstceltnes,
who
nokrīt
fell
zemē
from this
un
high
izdzīvo. Un viņš to
house,
stāsta kā liecību kādam
and he
citam
survived,
cilvēkam.
and he
Es
tells
biju
this
tur uz tās
story
9 mājas
to
jumta
other
un
people that I
nokritu no
was there
turienes.
on that
Tas ir
floor and I
brīnums.
fell, and that's a
Acīm
miracle.
redzot, tas klausītājs ir
And
īsts,
I think that
īsts
listener,
zinātnisks,
he
tāds,
is
ar tādu
scientific and
ateistisku pieskaņu,
with such
saka, kas tas par
atheistic
brīnumu, tā ir
thing, and
sagadīšanās.
he says
Nokrist
it's
no
not
tās augstceltnes,
a miracle,
un esi
it's
dzīvs.
just
Tas nav brīnums.
a coincidence.
Brīnumi nenotiek.
Miracles
Tā
are
ir
not
vienkārši
happening,
sagadīšana.
it's just
Bet
coincidence.
gadās, ka tas cilvēks
But sometimes
otro
that
reizi tur uz tā
person,
jumta
when
atkal ir,
he is
un
there
atkal
for the second
nokrīt,
time, and
un
again
atkal
he falls,
izdzīvo.
and again he
Un viņš atkal
survives,
satiek
and then
šo
he
cilvēku
meets
un
this
saka,
person, and then he says
"Brīnums, es
that a
otro reizi
miracle, for
nokritu
the second
no tā
time I
jumta."
fell from that
Jūs visi zināt,
roof.
ko atbild viņam
And you
šis
know
te,
what this
zinātnis,
other scientific person who is
skeptiķis.
listening, this
Viņš saka,
skeptical
"Ak, tu
person,
otrais nokriti
says,
no tā
oh,
jumta,
so you
un
fell
atkal
second time,
izdzīvoji,
and
un
again you
nekas tā."
survived,
Tas
and nothing
nozīmē, ka
happened
tas
to you.
ir ieradums.
That means that
Tas
that's a
nav
habit.
brīnums.
It's not a
Brīnumi
miracle.
nenotiek.
Miracles are
Un
not
zināt,
happening.
Kad Latvija
And you
atkal
know that
atguva
when
90.
Latvia
gados atkal atguva
got
savu
back
neatkarību,
their freedom,
tas bija otrs brīnums.
that was the second miracle.
Protams, skeptiķis teiks,
Of course,
Tas
a
jums
skeptical
tāds
person could say that
ieradums.
it's a habit
Pazaudēt un
to
atkal atgūt,
lose and to
neatkarību.
get it back, your
Bet es
independence.
gribētu
But I
apgalvot,
would
ka
like
tas
to
ir
say that it's
Dieva dots
God's given
brīnums un
miracle,
pierādījums,
and it's
ka
a
tas
proof
ir Dieva
that
prāts, ka
it's God's
Latvija
will,
ir tāda
that
valsts,
Latvia is
Latvija
such
dzīvo
country,
savā
and
zemē.
Latvia lives
Nu,
in
bet Latvija
its
ir
land.
100.
But now Latvia
100
has
gadu.
100 years,
Gandrīz pusi vai precīzi
at
ļoti,
least
gandrīz ļoti
half,
precīzi
or
pusi no
we
šī
say
laika,
accurately that
no šiem
half
100
of this
gadiem
time,
mēs esam
of
bijuši
these 100
okupēti
years, we
un
were
pakļauti.
occupied.
Un 100 gados mums
And in
tikai
100
pusi no tā
years,
laika mēs tiešām
only 50
esam
years
bijuši.
of these 100 years, we were independent.
Nu, ko tad tas nozīmē?
So what does it mean?
Un kā es teicu,
And as I
es
said,
gribētu likt tādu priekšlikumu,
I would like to suggest
ka tā ir Dieva
that
dota.
it's God's given,
Dieva dots laiks
God's
un Dieva
given
dota
time
zīme
and God's
Dieva
given
dota,
sign
dāvana
and God's
Latvijai,
given gift to
lai mēs
Latvia
zinātu,
for
ka
us to
Dievs
know
grib, lai mēs
that
tādi
we would
šeit
know that
esam.
God wants us to be
Es
here.
izlasīšu
And
rakstvietiņu
I will
no
read
Apostļu
a
darbu
scripture
17.
from
nodaļas, kura
Acts
ļoti
chapter
tieši
17,
attiecas arī
where really
uz
directly it
mums,
speaks to
latviešiem.
us,
Apostļu
to
darbi,
Latvia. And
17.
Acts, it's
nodaļa,
chapter 17,
lasu 26.
and I will read
pantu.
verse 26.
Viņš
And he
licis
has made
visām
from one
tautām
blood every
celties
nation
no
of
vienām
men to
asinīm.
dwell on all the face
Visām
of the
tautām
earth.
no vienām asinīm.
Every nation
Dzīvot pa visu
one blood.
zemes virsu.
to dwell on all the face of the earth, and has determined their pre-appointed times and the boundaries of their dwellings. God. It's said that God has made from one blood every nation. That was God's plan, that we are as we are where we are. That we are Latvians, we don't have to be ashamed from it. We don't have to feel guilt about it. That was God's plan. Maybe you are not Latvian, maybe you are Russian, and don't be ashamed of it. That was God's plan for Russian to be Russian, for Belarusian to be Belarusian, for Lithuanian to be Lithuanian, and for Latvian to be Latvian. But he has pre-appointed times and the boundaries of their dwellings. And then it said so that they should seek the Lord in the hope that they might grow from Him and find Him, till He is not far from each one of us. And I think these two verses, they are next to each other, and there is connection between them, that God has pre-appointed times for them to seek the Lord. And if they will seek the Lord, if they will live in their land, and we see it perfectly with Israel, with this nation, that they were dwelling in their nation and they lived for that time that God has given them. And that's why, from all my heart, I would like to say that we should seek the Lord. We should preach out to our nation Jesus Christ, because that's the way how we can stay in our nation and to live our time here. But then there is another question that rises up, that time by time in official speeches we don't hear, but in unofficial speeches we hear that when microphones are turned off, and sometimes you can hear it among pastors. Of course. Okay. We are in our nation. Okay, we have 100 years. Okay, we speak in our language. But what is happening with our nation? Are we falling or are we rising? Where we are today? Where are we now in our 100 years? There are people, and I have heard that people are saying really skeptically about our government, about, they are saying the one who is at the important place and who wants to get there, and about those 100 deputies that we have elected. And maybe you were not happy when you heard results of elections, and I have met many unhappy people that now we have the wrong people that are elected. They needed to have my mom and dad, and my dad, he's dead. You can't elect him anymore. But there are such, you can hear such things among people. And then we also have heard that we have little army and we have only 2 tanks and only 2 have mothers, and please don't take it literally. No one is saying such things literally, but we Christians, they are not supporting us, they are ignoring us, they want to have pressure on us, and it's so hard for us, and then those ungodly people and occultists and those liberalists in such informal talks you could hear this, and then refugees will come, and then journalists, I don't know, where did we get such journalists? Who raised them? Everything is bad. What are you thinking about Latvia? What are you thinking about Latvia? When Latvians are saying that everything is bad. When I'm listening to such negative talks, then I remember events that happened in Old Testament that's written in Numbers. We all have our Bible, and we know those events that are in the Bible that happened in the leadership of Moses, that nation who was for 400 years slaves, and they were without rights, they were under pressure, and Pharaoh could just command to kill all the men. We can't imagine that now somebody would have such law that all men, those who were born, if men are born, then just to throw them in the river. In those times that could happen. And God doing miracles and signs and wonders in Egypt, He took His land out of that land. And He took them to the promised land. They go to the Red Sea, and then they had army behind them. It was equipped, and that was like Vermont, officer of Vermont army. It was well equipped, and they have these all powerful things in front of them, and then there is Red Sea in front of them, and then Moses prays. He prays, and he tells to open the Red Sea, and the Red Sea opens. And then they went through, and again skeptical people are saying that no wonder could happen there, because Moses knew that there you could walk, and that's why he went there. But then in that place all Egyptians, they died. And again, it's a habit. Yeah? No miracles are happening. It's a habit. It was habit for Egyptians, and they drowned there. So miracles happened. And still, there are such men, and all of us, we know it, and no one will never give name to him, Korah, but one day he rebelled, and there were such mighty men. And let's listen how he sees that situation. So this is the message that Korah said, and if you would like to be in this act and see what happened there, you would have to say these words, and let's listen what Moses is saying. Is it a small thing that you have brought us up out of a land flowing with milk and honey? In his mind, everything was upside down. There in Egypt, where we killed 3 of our sons because those were boys, where we had been producing pavement without any salary, but now he speaks about that land where flows milk and honey. And you took us out to let us die in the desert. Through Moses, God saved His nation many times, but He sees that we were so close to death. Have you ever talked with people that are your age? I have asked people that are my age, how was it in Soviet time? And we just had this conversation, how we were standing in lines, and young people didn't know what is such line. If in Rimi they are, and there are 5 people, then that's a line, that's a queue. Where is what kind of organization is it? What is happening here? The only time when we are ready to stand in the line, it's when we have election. But in those times, line, the queue was the place where you could meditate. It's where you stand, and then there's a person in front of you, you are behind his back. Could you stand there peacefully? No. You had to watch that no one goes in, that he just that he's not standing in the line. So, and we were laughing about how it was then. And if you saw a line, then there was unwritten law just to go in that line because somebody is giving something. And how easy that was in the shop. They had only 3 pairs of shoes and one pair of shoes from Czech Republic. And then you were asking the shop assistant, do you have more of those shoes from Czech Republic? You were not even trying to see how they look on you. You just asked what size do you have, and you could buy them. Maybe they could fit some of your relatives. And remember about sausages? All people were standing in that line with red cheeks, and they were waiting and looking that no one could have more. And shop assistant, she was putting that sausage and butter in a paper, and when you were there, and then you could take as much as you can with that amount of money that you had. And so we had such kind of conversations. And if you didn't have anything to do in the bathroom, in the restroom, you could always read your news in the newspaper. And we were always winning, and Brezhnev was always doing something good. He was exploring something. You could read newspapers that were 5 years old, and the information was not changing. So the scholar, he's saying about that time in Egypt, that was the time of milk and honey, and he says that God is taking us in a place where we will die. Moreover, you have not brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey, nor given us inheritance of fields and vineyards. Will you put out the eyes of these men? Vilni, do you want to put out the eyes of these men, saying that Latvia is a blessed nation? Let's listen. Let's think to ourselves. Let's imagine that you are living in a foreign country. We speak in our language. We have our own elected people in the government, and they are coming from our people. And you know, it's interesting that when you read those events that happened in the year 18 and 19, then you see that there is no officer with Latvian surname. Usually they are either from Russia or Germany or England. And I think one of Latvian officers there was Englishman. But now we have our people in the government who understand us, who value our lives. Then they could think that it's something special and important. But now we have such men. They are coming from our nation, and they can speak in the language that we speak, and they want to speak to us and to reach us, and it's important for them what we think of them. Latvians have Latvian officers, Latvian men who are learning how to fight. And you know what? If then those men were fighting for Latvia, my thoughts are, I'm confident that now those people who are in army and they are getting salary for it, and I hope that I hope it's not coming when that hour comes They will fight for their nation, and they are not worse than those people who are fighting before. And I'm confident that I have confidence that our government is not worse. And still Bible says that God is at work, and we have been praying with you that God give us the right people in the government. They are not perfect. But I'll tell you a secret, that if you were there, and if you would like to do everything best, many people would think that you are the one who is going and getting everything for yourself, and that you are not wise. Just someone has taught us this song of whining. We should believe in our leaders. And then the greatest argument, that now in Latvia we have so many Christians that we could have one Christian in each house. And that means that this house is your responsibility. Each house would have their own pastor. For whole Latvia we would have one missionary. He could go there and be in that city. He could pray for it, and he could prophesy for its land. And if it's not still perfect now, but we are the salt and the light. We are the ones. And when the salt and light says that everything is bad, then something is wrong. And then they should speak with my neighbor, just with a man who is just a little bit older than me, and his name is Vilnis. Some years ago, there was snow. It was snowing. And then after a long day of work, we were speaking with Dennis, and we are saying that it will snow again. And he says, what else could we do? If it will snow, we will clean. And Vilnis, when he woke up in the morning, Dennis was already finished. And he was also cleaning a little bit of my territory. And then I thought to myself, if there is someone in Latvia who should say, doesn't matter how dark and sad it is, we will clean. What should you do if you are the salt and the light? If you are responsible for this nation. Yes. If God has put you in this land for you to have an order here, then you should do it. Dear friends, if somebody asks me, are we falling or rising up, then I would like to say that we are rising up. Now when you are sitting here in the service of Prieka Vests, and our president is sitting in the Dome Church, not today? Okay. Okay. So, a lot of Latvian ministers, they're sitting in where? Not in the bar, not in the red square. They're sitting in the church. And have you seen that Archbishop Jānis Vanaks, how he speaks to those people, to those government? I could be louder, I could be a little bit poisonous somewhere, but he speaks perfectly. He speaks God's word, not just to ordinary people, but he speaks to them as to people of government. And all of them are sitting there, and they're listening to God's word. We are rising up. I believe that we are rising up. We are rising up. And actually, there is a perfect illustration in New Testament, one of the events with Jesus and his disciples, when he gives them command. And then they are doing what he has commanded, and what do they face? They face big opposition. great opposition. And then we think, but if God blessed us, if God is sending us, then everything should be easy. Usually people, they are saying, is God with me or not? If God is with me, then the wind will be from the back. There will be no rain. Then when you go in the puddles, but you will not get water in your shoes, and then enemy will not see you, and then you will do it before time, and everything will be easy. But that's not what Bible teaches us. And let's open Mark chapter 6, and we will read from verse 44. Mark chapter 6, verse 44. And now those days who had eaten now I'm supposed to look through this situation to Latvia, because this is how I see it now in Latvia. So, Mark chapter 6, verse 44. There are situations after there is a situation where Jesus fed 5,000 men with loaves of bread and fish. And in verse 45 it said, immediately he made his disciples get into the boat. We have this situation also in two other Gospels. It's in John, in the Gospel of John, and in the Gospel of Matthew. And there is interpretation. I'm sorry. Technical pause. Why did Jesus command them immediately? They have men there who ate, and they say that now they want to give us king. And Jesus has to flee from those people who are fanatic, who want to do something good finally for their land. That is the king who could feed us, and he will always feed us when there will be hard place. And he commands his disciples to get into the boat, and they don't want it. It's not written here like that, but we can see that's how they feel. He tells them immediately to get into the boat and go before. It's late, and the disciples are feeling that as people of the lake who have been living at the seaside, they feel the wind, they feel the changes of the pressure, and they feel that the storm is coming and they don't want to go there. But Jesus tells them, for the last time I tell you, get into the boat and go before him to the other side. And then it said they went to Bethsaida, and that's the narrowest place. And for 2 hours they would get there in 2 hours before it gets dark. So he sends other people to go, and he went to the mountain to pray. And now when evening came, the boat was in the middle of the sea. It was just in the middle of the way, and there was such wind against them, like it said in other Gospels that the boat is wind is throwing it from one side to the other side, and some of the theologians would say that after 9 hours they have been working hard and they can't get because there is such wind. Only after 9 hours, like John was saying, only 30-40% it's where they have got. There is wind, there is rain, and I don't know what they are saying there among themselves, but what can we learn from this situation? That those men, they didn't go back, they were obedient, and they were listening to Jesus, they were obeying, and they did what he was telling them. And then after 8 hours, those waves that were saying that it will be bad, the miracle is coming. And what is that miracle like? That miracle is
Ievēro
Jesus.
tie paši apstākļi,
pay
kas viņus
attention.
draudēja
Those
noslīcināt,
circumstances
kas
that were
viņus
saying
atturēja,
that
kas
they
viņiem
will drown,
sagādāja milzumu daudz smagumu un cīņu.
that made
Uztur
everything
Jēzu.
difficult.
Jēzus iet pa tiem viļņiem, no
Jesus
kuriem
is
viņi
walking
baidās,
there in
un
the
kas
midst
viņus
of those
apdraud.
circumstances. And
Un ziniet, kas ir interesanti šeit ir
And
uzrakstīts?
what is interesting
Ka
in this
Jēzus
situation, it's written that
nevis iet pie
Jesus
viņiem,
is
bet
not
viņš
going to
vienkārši
them,
klusām iet viņiem
but he is
garām.
just
Viņš gribās
passing
izskatās,
by.
ka iet garām
Looks that
viņiem.
he's
Kāpēc
just passing
Jēzus tā
by.
darīja?
And why? Why did he do so?
Es zinu, kā būtu darījis tu.
I know
Reiz.
what you would
Tu jau
do.
būtu tikko būtu viņus ieraudzījis.
When
un
you
es
saw
būtu
them,
vicinājis roku. Vismaz es,
you would
es tā
wave
būtu darījis.
to them.
Es būtu
That's what
vicinājis
I would
roku.
do.
Es būtu novilcis žaketi.
I would take my jacket.
Es nāku!
Often I would say, I'm coming. I'm there.
Es gribētu parādīt, ka es stāvu.
I would like to
Uz
show that
viļņiem.
I'm on the
Halleluja!
waves, I'm walking
Un
on
es
the
gribētu,
water.
lai tas čaļi
And I would
priecājas, ka
like
es
those
tuvojos. Jēzus iet
people to be
garām.
happy that I'm coming. But
Vienkārši
Jesus is
klusi
passing
iet
by. Just silently, he's
Sakiet.
passing by.
Jēzus ap citu vienmēr tā
And
rīkojas.
actually, Jesus was always
viņš
acting like
vienkārši
that.
iet
And why so? Why is he passing by?
Hmm?
Why?
Zinat ko?
You know
Ļoti
what?
bieži, pat
That
ja mēs paliekam
Often,
ticībā,
even if
paliekam
we
uzticīgi
stay in
Dievam,
faith,
daram to, ko viņš mums
if
sacīja.
we are faithful
Glābšana nāk
doing
pie
what
mums.
he has told us,
Bet paiet mums garām.
salvation is coming, but it's
Viņš
passing
gaidīja no
by.
viņiem.
He was
Tā
waiting from them,
ticības,
that
pozitīva
faith.
ticības. Ticība
That
ir
positivity.
pozitīva cilvēka reakcija
Faith,
uz
it's
Dieva
a positive
apsolījumiem.
reaction to
Pozitīva
God's promises.
cilvēka reakcija uz
It's
Dieva
positive
vārdu, uz
reaction
viņu
to God's
uzticību, uz
word,
to, ka
to
viņš
his
ir Dievs,
faithfulness,
uz
that
viņu
he is
mīlestību.
God, to his love.
Nevienu brīnumu, gandrīz nevienu.
There were no miracles happening. And I
Slimo.
think about that
Nevienu
sick
brīnumu
at
Jēzus
Bethesda.
neizdara.
He's not
Pirms viņš
doing
nav
any
sagaidījis no
miracle
cilvēka pozitīvu reakciju.
before he
Ticības reakcija.
has received
Halleluja.
positive
Un
reaction
šeit ir
from a
līdzīgi.
believer.
Ja viņi neko
And here
nebūtu
it's
teikuši,
similar.
viņi palikuši tur tajā savā vietā.
If they were
Un
silent,
ievērot,
there
ka
where they
Jēzus
were, they
nevienkārši
would stay
atrisināja
there.
problēmu, lai viņi nomierinātu.
And pay attention that Jesus
Visur, kur
didn't
viņš
solve
nonāk,
the
viņš
situation
pirms
just
viņš
that they would
atrisina
be
to
happy,
problēmu,
but
viņš
everywhere
saka
he
viņiem,
goes,
"Nebaidies."
first he says,
Un
don't be
cilvēks
afraid.
varētu sašust,
And
varētu
then those
pasmodēt,
people,
kā nebaidies,
they
tu
could be
paskaties, večiem ir
like,
pūles,
how can we
rokas
not be
asinīs.
afraid? You
Mēs
see that
rukājam 9 stundas,
we have been
mums
working
visu,
there for
mēs
9
uz tavu
hours.
vārdu to darām.
We are doing that because you commanded us to do this.
Nekā tāda.
Nothing like
Viņi
that
nebūtu
happens there.
piedzīvojuši. Viņi būtu
They
palikuši
wouldn't
turpat.
experience that. They would
Kad
stay
viņi
there.
pozitīvi ticībā
But
ar
when
Dievu,
they are
tad, kad
positive
viņi
in their reaction
sauc uz
by
viņu,
faith,
Jēzu,
when they
Jēzu,
call to him,
Jēzu.
Jesus,
Atcerieties,
Jesus.
Pēters,
Remember
vienīgais
Peter,
no 12,
he was
kurš
the
saka,
only one from
kurš
12
skatās, ko Jēzus
who
dara un
said
grib darīt to, ko
he looks at
Jēzus
Jesus
dara.
and he wants to do what Jesus is doing.
Lielākā daļa cilvēku negrib
Most
darīt
of
to. Mēs
people,
gribam
they don't
būt
want to do
drosmi,
it. We
mēs
want to
vienkārši
go
nodzīvot
away,
savu
just
dzīvi komforta
live our
zonā,
lives
lai
in the
paēst,
comfort
man
zone,
neviens
just to
neapdraud,
eat,
man
and no
neviens
one is
pie
saying
nav jāiet
anything to us, and I
evangelizēt.
don't have to go and
Es
preach
vienkārši būt
gospel.
labs cilvēks,
I just want to be a
normāls
nice
cilvēks,
person,
dzīvi nodzīvot.
just to live a normal
Bet Pēters
person's life.
atšķirās, viņš saka,
But
es
Peter
gribu
is different. He
iet
says,
ūdens virs.
I want to walk on the water.
Halleluja. Un man pārliecība ir tāda,
And my
ka Jēzus
confidence
sūta
is
cilvēku.
that Jesus
Viņš
sent
deva
him.
mums mūsu likteni,
He
mūsu
gave us destiny.
Un tas, ka mēs
and way.
saskaramies ar
And
opozīciju,
when we
ir
have
tikai
opposition,
normāli.
it's just normal.
Šajā pasaulē ir velns.
In
Tas, ka ir
this
grūti. Tas,
earth,
ka ir
on this
dažādi
earth, we have
šķēršļi ceļā.
devil,
Tas ir
and
normāli.
And it's okay
Tas
that
ir
we
veids,
have
kā mēs parādām
obstacles.
savu ticību
This is
Dievam.
how we show
Tas ir
our faith in
veids, kā
God.
mēs
That's the
tiešām
way
mūsu
how
ticības
can we-
apliecība, ka tai ir jāskan. Kad mēs pierādām, ka mēs ticam Dievam, nevis apstākļiem. Ka nevis
proclaim that
apstākļi
we
ietekmē
believe
mūsu
in God, not
teoloģiju,
in
bet
circumstances.
mūsu
That
teoloģija ietekmē
circumstances
mūsu
are
apstākļi.
influencing our
Ka
faith,
tam
but our
vajadzētu
theology is
parādīties
influencing
īpaši
the circumstances.
mūsu
And that should be
ticība.
the sound that is coming
Mēs
out of
ticam
our
Dievam.
mouths. Because
Dievs
we are
noliks
believing
laiks
in
un
God.
vietas, kur cilvēki
And
dzīvo.
God has
Un
set
nevis
times and
mums
places where
jāsaspiež
people should
muguras
live.
kopā, jo
And
mūs
not that
visi
we have
vajā,
to
mūs
stand
visi
back
te
by back
apbižo.
just because
Bet
everyone is
taisn otrādi.
bad
Mums ir
to us, but opposite.
jāizriež savu krūti.
We
Mums
have
ir
to
jāatraisa
just
savs
stand
ticības
firm.
spēks
We have
par
to
savu
release
zemi,
the
zinot, ka
power of
Dievs
our
dod mums
faith about
nākotni,
our land,
zinot, ka
that we
Dievs
know that
cels mūs,
God
zinot,
is
ka Dievs
building us, that
neteica.
God,
Un ievērot,
and pay attention.
ko Jēzus sacīja.
What
Viņš
Jesus
lika
said,
saviem mācekļiem
he
kāpt
commanded
laivā
his disciples
un
to get into the
pārcelties
boat
uz
and go before him
Bethsaida.
to the other
Tas ir
side, to Bethsaida.
pārcelties pāri
That means to
jūrai.
go
Viņš neteica, lai viņi
to the
aizbrauc
other
līdz vidum
side
un
of the
noslīd.
river. He didn't
Tieši
say,
tāpat kā
go
Dievs
and draw.
neteica savai
and
tautai, lai
sing
iziet
there.
ārā no Eģiptes zemes un ieiet tūkstošu vidū
He
un
didn't
tur
tell
nomirst.
Jesus, God
Viņš
didn't tell
negribēja
to
to
his
izdarīt.
nation to go out of Egypt and die in the middle of the desert, but that was their faith. You took us out of the land where milk and honey flows, and you led us here to die here. And it happened by their faith.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Those words that Jesus said, go from this side to other side, it's the same mouth, the same words that was in the beginning of Bible where it said, let the light be, let the planets be. Let it be dry in the midst of the sea. The same words. God's almighty creator's word. And still they have all this universe, all these systems. And it means that disciples, they trusted that they will not drown in the middle of the sea. They trusted those words so much that they didn't give up in front of struggles, obstacles, and we can learn from that, that we as a nation, we shouldn't give up in difficult times. Our inner difficulties or some misunderstandings or some places where we're not successful, we shouldn't be where we give up, but we should be people that say that God sent us in this world. He has given us vision. He has given us tasks. He doesn't want us to stop in the middle, but He wants us to reach the end. And every time when Jesus is giving you word or He gives you task, at the same time, this word gives you the ability to do it. Every task of God, every task that He is giving to you, still at the same time it gives you ability to do it. So in the morning He came to them, and they saw Jesus who was walking on the sea. And He can battle all those struggles that we have in Latvia just if we stay in faith. We know that God is giving His promises for us to wait for them and to receive them. And remember that we read in Hebrews 11 about that they received promises. Receiving promises, we receive them by faith. And then you can say, Vilnis, but haven't you read that in the last days you will have bad times and it will be struggle and they will be not obedient? But that's not a promise, right? What does a promise mean? Should we not believe in that? Yes, I will believe that everybody will be full of greed. Thank you that everyone will be full of greed. It's not like that. We should use our faith for something else. And something else is where He says that we are His work. Manship created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared for beforehand that we should walk in them. To do what? To do good works, that you stand and walk by faith, that you speak words of faith, that you see yourself not as a person who goes until the middle and then you give up there and then you just go back to your comfort zone. But you believe and that God will take you through. Doesn't matter how hard or how strong is the opposition. You make yourself for receiving a miracle. If we as a nation obey God's things, that we speak by faith about our nation, about our future, then we are releasing God's power over it and we receive it. Exactly in this way, we are to do good works. 1 Peter 2:9 says that you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, His own special people, that you may proclaim His praises of Him who called you out of darkness into His marvelous light. Now we'll read some other prophecies that we have been given for Latvia, about Latvia. And there are a lot of them, and I don't know if people have put all of them together, but I have heard from Reinhard Bonke said that then there was
aizmirsu,
I forgot those other names.
Bet viens no tiem ir Kris
But one of them
Volotons,
was
kas
Chris Volaton,
pravietoja
who proclaimed in
2010.
2010.
Paklausieties kāds
And
vārds,
listen
kāpēc es to
those
saku?
words.
Jo
Why do you?
man
I
ir
want you to
svarīgi
hear
viņus
them because it's
atraisīt.
important to release
Es
those
neesmu
words.
jūs aicinājis
I haven't called you
atspoguļot vēsturi.
to
Aicinu jūs veidot vēsturi. Lai gan neveiksmi vēji
I call
pūš
you to
pret
make
jums,
history.
es
And
darīšu
when the wind
Latviju
is
kā
coming
lielu
against
burbuļu
you,
kuģi.
I will make
Vējš,
Latvia a
kas
ship
sūtīts, lai
that
jūs
will go.
iznīcinātu,
The wind
nokļūs
that descends
aiz
to
burām
you to destroy,
un
it will be
vadīs jūsu
behind you.
ekonomiku.
And that
Es
will lead
lietošu
your
neveiksmes
economy.
kā
I will
meistarīga
use
keramiķa rokas,
failures
kas
as
jūs
professional
pārveidos par skaistu
hands
tautu.
of
Es
a
gribu
potter.
jūs padarīt par Eiropas kroņa
I want
darbu.
to make you
Modeli kultūras reformācijai.
a
Zelts būs
diamond
jūsu
in the
jūras, sudrabs jūsu meži, bronza jūsu turismu nozara. Radošums, kreativitāte
Creativity
izplūdīs no
will
Latvijas kā
flow
liela
out from Latvia as a
teātris,
river.
filmas, televīzija,
Theater,
māksla būs
movies
ūdens.
and art, it
Tiks
will be
izveidots
water.
pasaules līmeņa centrs aktieriem,
A
māksliniekiem
center
un
for artists
sapņotājiem.
and actors
Es redzu
and
kādu kā
dreamers will
Valts
be in
Disnejs.
Latvia. I see as Walt
Ceļoties no
Disney
nabadzības, lai izveidotu
going out
atrakcijas,
of poverty
parku, kas
to build
apdullinās pasauli.
adventure
Vecā
parks
nauda
for the
atradīs
world.
jaunus
The old
piedzīvojumus.
money will find new
Sirmgalvi
adventures.
atkal sapņos.
All people
Kā
will dream.
brīvības apliecinājums atkal skanēs zvani, bet
And
šoreiz
again,
tie
for
būs
the freedom,
vārda
there will be
brīvība.
rings, but
Es redzu
bells, and those
mākslas
bells will be about
augstskolu,
truth.
kas tiek veidoti
I
tur,
see
kur
Academy
rūpnīca
of
reiz
Arts,
apspieda cilvēkus.
where
Pelēkais tiek aizstāts ar krāsu,
it was
tā ir
stopped
zīme,
and
jauna.
color will be
Laiku
instead of
sezonu.
gray, and that's a sign
Tie
for a
pravietoja
new
vārdu,
century.
ko
Those are
atbrauc
the words.
Svešs cilvēks un pravietoja par mūsu zemi.
A man came and
Paklausieties,
said
kādu
these
vārdu
words
Dievs
about
mums
our
deva.
nation.
Jūs
And let's
visi to
listen
zināt,
about
es
the
gribu
word
vēlreiz
that
atgādināt,
God
Iesai
gave to
60.
Latvia.
Lasīšu no 1.
It is
panta.
from Isaiah 60, and I'll read from verse
Tu
1. Arise and shine, for your light
jo
has
tava
come,
gaisma nāk.
and the glory
Tā
of the
kunga
Lord is
godība
risen upon
uzlec
you.
pār tevi.
For behold, the
Tik
darkness shall
tiešām
cover the
tumsība
earth,
atklāja zemi un dziļi krēslu
and deep
tautas.
darkness the people.
Bet pār
But
tevi
the Lord
uzlec
will
kā
arise over
saule tas
you,
kungs.
and
Un
his
viņa
glory
godība
will be
parādās
seen
pār
upon
tevi.
you. The
Tautas
Gentiles
staigās
shall
tavā
come to
gaismā,
your
un
light,
ķēniņi
and
tai
kings to the
spožumā, kas
brightness of your
uzliekas pār
rising.
tevi. Pacel
Lift
savas
up your
acis un
eyes all
skaties
around and
visapkārt.
see.
Tie
They all
visi ir
gather around
sapulcējušies
together,
un
they
nāk
come
pie
to
tevis.
you.
Tavi
Your
dēli
sons
no
shall come
tālienes,
from
un
afar,
tavas meitas
and your
uz
daughters
rokām
shall be nursed
atvestas.
at your
Kad
side.
tu to redzēsi,
Then
tu
you shall
staros
see and
priekā,
become
un
radiant,
tava
and
sirds
your heart shall
iedarbēsies
swell with joy,
un
because the
atvērsies,
abundance of the
jo
sea
jūras
shall be
bagātības
turned to you.
virzīsies šurp
The
pie
wealth
tevis,
of Gentiles
un
shall
tautu
come to you.
mantas ieplūdīs tevī. Dievs mums deva
God
tādu-
gave us this
tādus vārdus.
word
Draudzes vīzijā, Iesai 49:6. Tas ir par maz, ka
in
tu esi mans
church vision.
kalps, lai atjaunotu
Indeed, he says, it is too
Jākabu
small a thing
un
that you
atvest
should be my
atpakaļ
servant to
izglābtos
rise
Izraēla
up tribes of
bērnus.
Jacob
Nē,
and to restore the
es padaru tevi arī
preserved
par
ones of
gaismu
Israel. I will
citām
also give
tautām.
you as a light to the
Lai tu
Gentiles,
būtu mans
that you should
pestīšanas
be
nesējs
my salvation
līdz
to the
pasaules
ends
galam.
of the earth.
Dievs
God
ir liels Dievs.
is a big God,
Dievam domas ir ļoti vērienīgas
and
un
his
ļoti
thoughts are
nozīmīgas.
mighty and
Un kad mēs
important.
sadarbojamies ar
And when
Dievu,
we
viņš
work
grib darīt
together
caur
with
mums
God, He wants
lielas
to do
lietas.
big things with us.
Un kad mēs runājam šodien
And
par
when
to,
we
ka
speak
celies,
now,
tas
that
nav kaut kāda
He says,
mistiska
rise,
Latvija, kaut kur tur Jēkabilā,
and it's
kāds
not
kaut
that
kur kāds
some
ministrs,
mystical
vai
Latvia somewhere,
parlamentārietis, vai kāds uzņēmējs.
some one person
Celties!
to
Šodien
rise.
ir runa
Today
par tevi.
we speak about
Tu
you.
esi īstā Latvija.
You are Latvia.
Kad tu sevi skaties kā uz
When you look at
cilvēku, kurš
yourself
neko
as a
lielu
person
nevar,
who
neko
can't
uz-
do
neko daudz
anything
nav
great,
spējīgs, kuram ir tik
who
liels
has
grūtības dzīvē un tik
so
smaga
many difficulties
opozīcija,
in life,
ka
in
tu
such a
visdrīzāk līdz
position,
galam nenodzīvos,
and
kaut
you
kur
will not
pusceļā
live
tu
until
padosies
the
un
end, you will
saruks.
just give up
Tad tu
somewhere in the
necelies,
middle,
tā nav ticība.
then you are not
Tu
rising up. It's
faktiski
not faith.
neatraisi Dievam
Actually, you're not
iespējas
releasing
tev
opportunities
palīdzēt.
for God to help
Jo
you.
atceries,
Because remember
glābšana,
that
tad, kad tu
salvation,
atrodies tajos savā
when you are
opozīcijas
in the midst
kulminācijā,
of your position
glābšana
at the
klusi
culmination
paiet
point,
garām.
then salvation
Ja
can
vien
just pass you
Tu
by.
pozitīvi, ticībā nereaģēsi uz
Just
Dieva
if you will
apsolījumiem,
not
uz viņa vārdu.
positively react
Bet
by
ja tu
faith
to
to His
darīsi,
word, But if you will do
tad
it,
nav nekā neiespējama.
then there is nothing
Jēzus
impossible.
to teica, ka tam,
Jesus
kurš
said
tic,
that the one who
tas
believes,
visu spēj.
he can do
Tu
everything.
vari piepildīt visu to, ko
You
Dievs ir
can
ierunājis
fulfill
tavā sirdī.
everything that God has
Tu vari
spoken
izdarīt
into
to
your heart.
tādus mērogus,
You can
ka
do
pēc
it
gadiem
in such
20,
measures that
25 tu paskatīsies
in
atpakaļ,
20
teiksi, es nekad
or
dzīvē
more years,
neticēju.
you will say that I
Nedomāju,
never
ka tas
believed
notiks manā
that it will
dzīvē.
happen in my life.
Bet tas noslēpums ir tāds,
But the secret is that
ka lai tas notiktu tavā
for
dzīvē,
it to happen in your life,
šodien tam ir jānotiek.
today you have to
Tev
believe
ir
in it.
sevi jāierauga,
You have
ka
to
tu
see
neesi
yourself
viens ar
that you are
visām
not
tām saviem
alone in the
izaicinājumiem
midst
un
of all those
projektiem,
challenges
ka
and
Dievs
projects,
tev palīdz,
but that
ka
God
viņš
is
sūtīja tev
helping
šajā
you, that
pasaulē,
He
ne lai
sent
tu
you
aiziet
in
līdz
this world
pusceļam,
not to
un
you
tad
go somewhere until the
neizturēt,
middle
un
and then you
salūst,
give up
un
and then you
nokrist, un
break and
noslīd.
fall and sink,
Ka viņš tev izved no
but that
verdzības,
He took
lai
you
tu
out
aiziet
of
līdz
slavery
apsolītajai,
for you
līdz
to
galam.
go to the promised
Tu
land.
līdz galam.
You
Lai
will go
tu
to the
aiziet
promised
līdz
land
galam.
for you to reach
Tu
the
vari
promised
aiziet
land.
līdz galam.
You can
Tu vari
reach the
uzvarēt
promised
visus
land.
savus šķēršļus.
You can
Nav nevienas
battle,
ienaidnieks
you
tavā
can
dzīvē, kur
win
tu
all
nevarētu
your
tikt galā.
obstacles,
Nav
and there will be
neviens.
no enemies
Ja
in
tu
your life
paklausīsi Jēzu
if you will obey
un
Jesus
dzīvos ticībā.
and if you will live by faith.
Un ja mēs kā tauta
And
to
if we as a country,
ka
if
Dievs
we
mūs ir
understand it,
izvēlējies, mums
that
ir
God
sava
has
loma
chosen us, that
Eiropā.
we have role in
Ka
Europe,
ja mēs kā draudze to
If
patiešām
we
visi
as a
saprast, ka mēs neesam
church could
vienkārši
understand
individu tāds
that we are not
sakopojums
just
svētdienas rītā,
individual
bet
people
ka
who are
Dievs
all
mūs ir
together,
salicis kopā.
but that
Viņš
God
mums
has
grib
put us
izdarīt
together
lielas
and He
lietas.
wants to do
Ja
great
mēs tam
things to
noticētu,
us. If we
un mēs
believe in
sāk
that,
par to domāt,
if we
mēs sāk par
think
to
about it,
runāt,
if we start to think
mēs
about
sāk
it,
to
to
redzēt
speak
ar
about
savam
it, then
gara acīm.
we would
Ka
start to
mēs
see
esam
that with
šeit ne lai
eyes of
nodzīvotu līdz
spirit,
nāvei,
that we are
bet
here
lai
not
mēs
to live
ietekmētu
until
daudz
our
cilvēku
death,
dzīves,
but we would
lai
influence a
daudzi
lot of
neaiziet uz
people,
zelta, bet
that
aiziet
a
uz
lot of
debesīm.
them would
Ja
not
mēs to
go to hell,
ieraudzītu,
but that
ka mēs
when we
Latvija
see it, that
tiešām
we as
esam
Latvia, we
atmodas
are
nācija,
the country of
mēs to
revival,
piedzīvojam.
then we will experience it.
Un ja es šodien saku, celies
And
Latvijas,
today
tas
Jesus
ir
says,
tev.
rise and shine, Latvia.
Celies.
Today I tell this to you.
Cik
Doesn't
grūti,
matter how hard
nepadodies,
it is, but don't
tu
give up
celiet,
where
kur
Jesus
Jēzus
is
tevi
sending you.